If the Earth was overrun by horrifying curses, and whoever learns to control them can become the world's most powerful being, what would you do? Your sweet girlfriend has died and transformed into a vicious curse, and one of the world's most powerful sorcerers wants you dead. I'm going to break down the mistakes made, what you should do, and how to beat the Master of Curses in Jujutsu Kaisen 0. This boy doesn't know it yet, but his ability to keep the ladies interested is about to make him the target of the most powerful cult leader. He will have to become a master swordsman, learn about the brand new world of curses, and keep his dead girlfriend happy in order to survive an all-out war. Yuta is cornered in a classroom by a bunch of bullies who threaten to hurt him, but before the bullies can even touch him, he calls out to a girl named Rika, and suddenly some bony claws wrap around Mr. Bully's face and yank him into the darkness. Yuta curls into a ball apologizing, while the bullies are stuffed into a cabinet and are given a brand new meaning to the term meat locker. Why is it looking at me? It looks just like a meatball. Yuta feels so bad that he agrees with some powerful leaders who want to execute him and cover up his powers. Gee, that's nice. Luckily, this blindfolded man can see something that others don't, even though he's blindfolded, and offers to take Yuta in. This man is Satoru Gojo, a teacher at Jujutsu High School, a school for some very special students who have powers just like Yuta. He tells the boy that a curse has been placed on him, but he is capable of learning to use the curse to do good and save people, and great power comes great responsibility and all that jazz. On Yuta's first day, he meets the only 3 other students at school. Gee, I wonder how they get funding. And they are cold to him at first, especially this girl, Maki. And the frosty reception gets downright sharp and nasty when Maki slams her weapon into the board beside Yuta. The other students demand that Yuta leave because they can see that he is cursed and has brought a cursed entity in with him. The boy is very confused and looks downright terrified, and Gojo shows up in the nick of time to explain that curses are real and have been responsible for many of the unexplained deaths happening around the country each year. Curse users with evil intentions can use curses or cursed items to carry out their no-good evil deeds. The school is where students who have powers can learn about curses and, just like somewhere in the Vatican, learn how to exercise them. The other students are a little bit peeved that Gojo only explains curses to Yuta now, but someone else is even more mad. Yuta's curse, a jealous little thing. Not really. It's a massive white creature named Rika, and she emerges and demands that the other students treat Yuta well, or else. And side note, everybody, Rika wasn't always this way. 6 years ago, she was sweet, ordinary, a human, and someone who thought Yuta was a real cutie pie and wanted to be his girlfriend. Yay, good for him. And she gives Yuta a ring, calling it an engagement ring. Ooh, that's forward. And makes him promise that they'll get married one day. Look how happy she is. No one can say no to that face. Look at her. Yuta is no exception and accepts her proposal. But even before he has time to check out his new ring and demand one with a larger stone, I mean, come on, look at this thing, it's tiny. Rika is killed in a car accident, and she lays dying in the street. Yuta calls out to her, and this is when Rika emerges from a puddle of blood, and the mysterious white creature vowing to stay with her boyfriend forever appears just like she promised. Okay, am I hearing this right now? This boy agreed to be executed before even trying to find out if he can persuade Rika to leave, sensing a little bit of a disconnect in his brain synapses here. He has a girlfriend who died and then turned into a monstrous creature. I mean, that's a pretty clear indication that this supernatural deal is real. Yet it looks like Yuta didn't even bother asking around or searching to Google about this brand new world affecting his life. He doesn't even know curses existed till Gojo spoon-fed him that information. Gee, thanks. Because apparently Yuta is an idiot. Rika was a reasonable girl when she was alive, though maybe she was secretly crazy. And even now, her cursed form clearly cares about him and would do what he asks. You hope. The boy should try to let her down easy and see if he can make it a "it's a me, not you" kind of thing, and have her leave on her own, letting her know the truth that many powerful people now want him dead because she is too much of a clingy girlfriend and way too much of a threat to regular society. Yeah, that would be a good place to start. Rika will certainly not want her boyfriend to live a miserable life of being hunted down and ostracized from others for the rest of his days, and may try to give him a little bit of a normal life. If that doesn't work, it's still worth a shot for Yuta to try telling her that he needs to be free of distractions, not having dead classmates, get stuffed into lockers, and maybe tells her that he wants her to find peace, or any other type of lie or excuse that he can think of to make her leave. At least for a little bit. I mean, arrange a schedule. Haunt me from 1 p.m. till 5, or 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. I mean, there's ways to figure this out, right? Though personally, I would say maybe sharing my life's collection of Lego and Star Wars rookie fanfiction cards, along with maybe some anime figurines, might just be a surefire way to become single again. I mean, come on, if I overload her with the weeb and the nerd, I don't think her brain can handle it. But even if all these other efforts fail, it might might not be such a bad thing. Yuta has just heard from his teacher that curses are responsible for thousands of deaths each year, and curse users can use their power to affect those around them. I mean, there is obviously a thriving culture and a market for curses out there among curse users. If Rika won't leave me alone if I was Yuta, I could make the best of this situation and use her powers to improve my life. I mean, it kinda sucks, but who wouldn't want a clingy, massive, strong creature ready to obey their every command? Mostly. As long as Yuta would stop being so terrified of her and learn to treat Rika like a partner who can do tough jobs for him, because clearly he can't. He could really use her ghosty muscle to get super rich. The boy has a kind heart and would likely be happy if he can start his own protection agency, loaning out Rika's services for people afraid that they're being followed or targeted. See, look at that! Business model. You're welcome. I mean, come on, one look at Rika's razor-sharp pearly whites is enough to send any wannabe stalker running for the hills. Once word spreads that Yuta offers the best bodyguard protection in town, his business can take on rich celebrities and VIPs. The boy can then use all that sweet money to get his girlfriend a fresh ghosty manicure on those claws, and all he has to do is to be willing to go a little on the dark side for his own gain. I mean, if the protection gig doesn't work out, he could even send Rika to rob banks or beat up his enemies for him. Life's already dealt him with such a crappy hand brought on by Rika's own making, so I say since his dead girlfriend is around, the least he can do is become super rich and powerful. Gojo reminds the other students to be nice to Yuta, so Rika won't beat them up. From the looks of things though, it's already too late. Rika has already taken these students, well, back to school with a few good wallops. The teacher moves things along by officially introducing Yuta to his classmates. This angry girl Maki is a cursed tool user who specializes in using weapons against curses. The quiet boy Toge is a cursed speech user who can only speak in rice bowl ingredients, weird, his curses. And the fluffiest of the fluffies of the boys is the panda, a talking panda, I'm not even kidding. Gojo pairs the students up for their first assignment, putting Yuta and Maki together. And from the look on Maki's face, it's clear that the girl is just overjoyed to have the new boy as her partner. Great. She spends the next few minutes berating Yuta for being too passive and too much of a goody-goody two-shoes, telling him that he needs to toughen up if he wants to survive in this school. Gojo takes the pair to a nearby elementary school where some children have gone missing. He explains that this is likely the work of a curse. Maki says that curses tend to settle or even get born in places where bad memories or emotions occur. The teacher chants some words and places over a veil over the school, basically something that will help smoke out curses and keep everything looking normal to people outside of the veil. Gojo then just leaves the teenagers on their own to exercise the school. Almost instantly, the pair spots some creatures nearby, and Maki says that they are low-level curses who tend to group together. She charges towards them and easily cuts them down with her pole arm. Entering the school, Yuta looks absolutely terrified and just about as eager as you would walk into an executive convention. It's that bad. And just like an executive convention, this school is filled with hideous-looking beings lurking around every corner. These are the many curses plaguing the school, but they are not attacking for some reason. Maki explains that Jujutsu sorcerers are ranked with grades 1 to 4, with rank 1 students having the most potential, and she demands to see Yuta's student card, and is very surprised to see that he's been ranked special grade. The girl can't even believe it. Special grades are rarely given out, and reserved only for the most powerful of Jujutsu sorcerers. But out of nowhere, an extra chunky curse attacks the pair, and Maki tries to slash it, but it grows to the size of the school and swallows them whole. Inside of the curse's belly, Maki is furious. Even more so when she realizes that she has dropped her weapon outside, and they spot 2 little boys inside of the creature's stomach with them. These are the missing elementary school students who are badly hurt and scared. Maki explains that they will have no choice but to wait outside for help, hoping that someone eventually will lift the veil and come rescue them, and she is already feeling the effects of the curse and passes out. To Yuta's horror, he sees that a wound on her leg has already begun to get infected with cursed energy. Okay, assuming what Maki says is right, then this massive curse was likely born out of trauma or bad memories that the elementary students have about their school. The first thing Yuta should do is to figure out if the curse is linked to either one of the 2 boys or both of them, and figure out if they're linked in the same way that Rika is linked to him. Drawing from his own experience, he should know that anyone who accidentally summoned a curse would likely be very, very remorseful and say things like, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, I mean, oops," you know, along those lines. He should talk to the boys to see if either of them is acting in this way, or if they have suffered unresolved trauma on the school grounds. The person responsible will likely display a special connection to the curse, being even able to change the curse's behavior during periods of heightened emotions, or have memories of a horrific personal event which happened to them at this school. Seeing that Rika retains her voice and some aspects of her personality, her ego, even in her cursed form, he right there has a lead on the curse's haunting and why it's here in the elementary school. And if I'm him, I know that most likely the figure at the center of all of this is probably some grotesque, evil-looking man with a destructive personality. He should ask the boys about controlling male figures in their lives and see if this curse was was born out of their trauma. And also, Yuta better hope he finds something out from these boys, because a curse with an innocent master can be much more easily controlled than a wild curse. If Yuta manages to trace this curse back to one of the boys, he can then teach the boys to manage the curse, like how he controls Rika's rage, and he could even probably get them into Jujutsu High, because at this point, if I'm him, I know that my crazy dead girlfriend only emerges when I'm in danger or feeling super stressed. I need to make the boys feel safe and reassure them not to panic, because in doing that, it would cause the curse to most likely calm down. Once they get out of this mess, Yuta here should start giving himself a little bit more credit. Maki has just told him that there are only 4 ranks that normal Jujutsu sorcerers can fall under, and his special rank surpasses them all. This means that he is actually a big deal, and his life's approach of trying to keep a low profile is not going to work anymore. Special rank sorcerers are one of the rarest types of people in the world, and he can expect a life full of others turning to him for advice or to issue a challenge. If I'm Yuta, I need to approach Gojo, the most powerful sorcerer that I know, and the closest thing that he has to another special rank user, and the guy probably is. I mean, come on, we all know he is. Don't lie. We know. And I know that this guy must have some tips for me if I'm Yuta, so I can better channel or control my power or my girlfriend. For example, would Yuta's curses level up if he starts to wear blindfolds like his teacher? Would he turn into Daredevil, I wonder? Would that allow him to better channel his cursed energy? I mean, come on, regardless of how goofy he comes across, Gojo is very powerful and will likely have a lot of useful advice to pass down onto Yuta. Growing more desperate, Maki pushes Yuta to explain his motivation for coming to the school. The boy explains that he just wants to do good and feel needed by others. In a rare moment of encouragement, Maki tells him to keep trying hard, assuring him that friends and confidence will naturally fall into place once he gets to better know and control his powers. Suddenly inspired and in the moment, Yuta puts on Rika's ring and calls on her for help. And this crazy creature rushes over faster than a hungry dog hearing a bag of treats rustle. And suddenly Rika grows massive and bursts out of the curse's belly, ripping it to shreds and sending chunks splattering all over the school and Vale. Ugh, gross. And the two of them leave while the girlfriend has the time of her life at the bloodbath above. Nice. Yuta drags Maki and the 2 boys out of the school to safety. At the school, Gojo is impressed at the boys' power and heroism. Yuta tells the teacher that he has come to a realization. He thinks that it wasn't Rika who cursed him, and that it was his grief over her death that accidentally cursed her to become bound to him instead. He vows to learn all he can about curses at Jujutsu High, so that he can one day break Rika's curse and set her free. Aww, so nice. Sometime later, the Jujutsu leaders are mad that Gojo has failed to contain Yuta's powers properly. They point out that Rika was allowed to be unleashed for way too long, and that a curse of such immense power is a threat to them all. The leaders once again push to execute the boy for being too powerful, but Gojo defends him. He tells the leaders that he has the matter under control and will side with his student if they ever try to hurt him. Back at the school, Gojo gives Yuta a katana and advises him to give it power by transferring his cursed energy to it a little bit at a time, instead of unleashing Rika fully. This will help Yuta have better control over his curse and reduce the risk that Rika will get out of control and hurt innocent people. Yuta trains a recovered Maki, and come to find out she's a very skilled fighter, and he is no match for her at first at all. Yuta is determined to improve and asks if they can go another round, and the girl is really happy to indulge him because it means another chance to wipe the floor with him. As they spar, Panda Boy interrupts and teases Maki. He implies that the girl has a crush on Yuta, and she is furious and doesn't even deny it though. And Yuta seems totally clueless about their conversation, because that's the way it goes in anime, and instead goes to Gojo about his next assignment. Gojo tells him that he will be supporting Toge on a mission at the shopping district. The teacher explains that Toge's power of cursed speech is the perfect fit for this assignment, and asks that Yuta go along to learn from him. Before the boys leave on their mission though, Gojo tells Yuta that no matter what happens, he cannot fully unleash Rika. Gosh, isn't that such an annoying thing about anime? Somehow the main character here has yet again completely forgotten way too quickly that he saved the day at the elementary school. If not for him, Maki and the 2 boys might still be missing to this day, though I'm sure that Gojo would have saved them in the nick of time. But seriously, come on! Gojo seems to like to wait at the last minute, don't you think? So I say the boys should have no shame in milking the positive vibes out of this thing for all that it's worth. He could even seize the opportunity to visit the 2 boys at their homes, offer some words of encouragement to their families, and let the parents know that he will always be there to support their sons, though I'm pretty sure their parents might be a little weirded out considering that this is probably someone that the boys have no connection to and really have no reason why that Yuta should know their sons. But assuming the parents know the situation, I'm sure they'd already be very grateful to Yuta for saving their sons. And going this extra mile to schmooze up to them will likely win him some allies and possibly some food. And also, if it works out, those people, the parents and the kids, will become very valuable advocates for him in the future, should anyone ever suggest that his power is dangerous and that he should be executed in the interest of public safety. If the panel of Jujutsu sorcerers thinks they are powerful, they clearly have not seen the sheer reach and influence of mom groups. I mean, have you looked at it? It's terrifying. They're all over the place. By winning just over 1 or 2 parents, Yuta is sending out metaphorical seeds into the world, advocates if you will, who can now share the touching personal story of how he is a hero and should be cherished by society. I mean, look at the guy. He already has Maki crushing on him, and it's practically 5 seconds into the movie. And Rika is hopelessly devoted to him for life. Well, afterlife. And with all this good press and maybe even a larger public image, Yuta could easily over time become a beloved public figure. And once he's a household name with thousands of rabid fans ready to defend him at a moment's notice, I'm pretty sure it's not going to be so easy to suggest that he gets executed ever again. And speaking of gaining fans and winning people over, all 3 of Yuta's fellow students seem ready to be his best friend and source of information. He just needs to push the right buttons. Their friendships will be very valuable because Gojo and the school board clearly have their own agenda, which they know to keep from Yuta. So his fellow students are the only other Jujutsu sorcerers who can be open to him about what they know about the Jujutsu culture or using cursed energy. And by becoming the most popular guy in a very, very tiny school, Yuta needs to recognize that almost everyone tends to respond to the type of persuasion which best matches their personality. And persuasion methods all fall somewhere on a sliding scale of charm to intimidation. Some people are more open to trust you when you flatter them and compliment them, like, "Oh, I love your dress. Oh, thank you, I'll be your friend." Whereas others would like you to take charge and give them clear orders to follow. "Open your soul to me." Okay, that sort of thing. With Maki, for example, she has already expressed her disgust at Yuta for being weak and soft-spoken. On the other hand, though, before she collapsed at the elementary school, she did tell him that she has certain vulnerabilities to cursed energy which he does not. This suggests that Maki would be open to trust someone who is confident and assertive, but who can offer her protection in the areas where she is weaker. And once Yuta wins over his new best friends, it's going to be far harder for anyone else to target him or take advantage of his inexperience with curses. At the shopping district, Toge gets himself some throat spray to prepare for the mission, just like I do when I prepare for a voiceover. Moving on. Once the veil is drawn, the boys spot hundreds of tiny curses swarming together in the middle of the district. Finally using his cursed speech powers, Toge shouts at them, commanding them to explode. The curses are incinerated instantly and fall to the ground dead, but this comes with a price. The quiet boy is left with a hoarse voice and a sore throat from using his powers. Thinking the mission is over, the boys walk up to the veil but notice that it is not lifting. And out of nowhere, a powerful curse appears behind them, and this creature is very powerful and can summon energy beams from above to zap them into charcoal barbecue. Quiet boy pushes Yuta out of the way and uses the last of his strength to disfigure the creature's arm, but it isn't enough. The curse attacks again and forces the boys to retreat, hiding from the curse. Yuta sees that his friend is injured from saving his life, and Toge can also barely speak and use his powers, and desperately needs some more throat spray. But it's not his fault because he lost it when the cursed attacked, idiot. Toge is determined to return and face the creature alone, but Yuta refuses to leave his friend. Yuta charges at the curse with his katana, managing to wound it further but unable to overpower it. Realizing that he can't beat the curse without unleashing Rika fully, the boy instead decides to retrieve his friend's throat spray and tosses it to the quiet boy. And that magic spray cures his sore voice and restores his powers. And Toge rushes back into the battle and commands for the curse's head to be crushed, and it instantly kills the creature. The boys reunite and encourage each other over a job well done with a cool, crisp high five. But like total anime idiots, they don't notice that someone else is watching them as they leave. The mysterious figure picks up Yuta's student card and sees that he is a special grade sorcerer. Uh-oh. Sometime later, Gojo speaks with his associates about what went wrong. He learns that someone placed a second veil over the shopping district, trapping the boys inside with an unexpectedly powerful curse. The teacher says that he can sense who the mysterious person is, and the one who caused this is Suguru Geto. The evil man is a special grade sorcerer himself and became a cult leader after being banished from Jujutsu High. Gojo explains that Geto has cursed over 100 people to their deaths using his immense powers. At Geto's headquarters, he is approached for help by a mother and a daughter who think they may be cursed. The man is super rude to them, even insisting on renaming the woman for his own amusement, and he spots a creepy leering curse around the younger woman's neck and easily draws it away from her, turning it into a ball of energy which he keeps. Okay, I'm just gonna point something out rather obvious. Toge here should really stop speaking into rice bowl ingredients. It's a little weird, and it's now has left him about as smart as a turnip. Look at this! He's kind of dumb. His entire power depends on him keeping his voice, so it's definitely not a good idea to buy dollar store throat spray seconds before a mission. I mean, buy the good stuff, man. Get what I use, dude. It works so much better. And you wanna know why it works better? Because it's not the kind of brand of throat spray that tends to leap out of one's hands when attacked by a giant sky beam. In fact, having to hold on to a convenience store baggie with a plastic bottle inside is one of the least cool things that this guy can do while gallantly charging into battle. But I do like it though for some reason. But really, for something that can make the difference between life and death, he should not have wasted precious seconds fishing into the bag for the bottle, uncapping the lid, then lining up the spray. At the very least, Toge could have a better method. He should keep his life-saving medicine somewhere far easier to get to. For example, if he funnels one dose of the medicine into a waterproof plastic capsule where he can store it in his mouth, like one of those poison capsules that spies hide in their teeth in case they get captured. And then when he feels like his voice is starting to break and then slip away from him during a fight, he can simply bite down hard, break the capsule, releasing the soothing medicine and resustain his voice. Sorry, I got a little excited. Moving on. If I were either of these two boys, I would also be very concerned that someone is trying very hard to set us up to be killed. Two things went wrong with this mission that don't have an easy explanation. The veil trapped everyone inside and could not be lifted by anyone. This suggests that the associate who helped set up the veil may be in on the scheme, or at the very least had his own magic overpowered. Because since the veil requires someone with magical skill set to set it up, the boy should send their teacher back to the scene to see if he can detect any lingering mystical energies, see if he can find traces of the owner of that magic. Next thing I want to bring up is that despite the school doing some reconnaissance beforehand, there was a high-level curse which no one detected, waiting to kill Yuta and Toge inside of the mission area. This suggests that whoever set them up is a high-level Jujutsu sorcerer themselves and capable of summoning curses of that level. And since their teacher mentions that this mission was exactly suited for Toge's powers and something that he could do unsupervised as a level 2 Jujutsu sorcerer, they should also be very suspicious that the whole mission was a fake setup to catch the boys alone. But that also means that whoever set this up is familiar with students who do exorcisms as well as know the school's protocols very well, which means we gotta create a list, folks. Former Jujutsu High alumni, teachers, board members would zoom right to the top of my suspect list. I would cross-reference that list with sorcerers powerful enough to summon high-level curses, which should narrow down the possible culprits down to just a handful of suspects. And then, like Gojo already said, we would come to realize that we're dealing with Geto much sooner. The sleazeball Geto complains to his associate that all normal humans are monkeys who are weak, and he has no respect for. Walking back inside, he encounters a former client who is suffering from a deadly curse and begs him for help. The evil sorcerer eats the ball of energy he collected from the curse that he previously exercised right in front of the man, but refuses to help him. He says that he hates regular people and has no interest in helping them unless they can pay him handsomely, which this client has not done in some time. And Geto just stands there and watches in glee as the curses tear the man apart, killing him. At Jujutsu High, the 4 students see a giant bird approaching them from the sky, and it lands right in front of them, with Geto and his followers emerging from its mouth. The evil sorcerer takes a special interest in Yuta. He walks right up to the boy and grabs him by the hands. The man explains that people like them are superior to all the non-sorcerers on Earth, and that regular people do not deserve the help or protection of Jujutsu sorcerers that has been given to them for decades. He asks that Yuta join him in his plans to wipe out all the regular people, so that sorcerers like them can take over the world. The man also scoffs at Maki, calling her a big failure, which unsettles the girl. Yuta slaps his hand away, saying that he does not intend to side with anyone who insults his friends. But then Gojo interrupts, demanding to know why the evil sorcerer has come into their school. Geto says that he has come to declare war on all of them. He says that him and his followers intend to unleash dozens of deadly curses into heavily populated areas within Tokyo and Kyoto in order to wipe out all the regular humans, calling it the Night Parade of 100 Demons. He also challenges Gojo and his students to come fight them if they can when they unleash their plans. If they can fight them, that is. Just then, one of Geto's followers whines about wanting crepes from a cafe before it closes, so what do the bad guys do? The evil sorcerer turns to leave, inviting the stunned friends to fight him at his parade of demons later. Gojo tries to stop him from leaving, but Geto summons a monstrous giant curse. He threatens to attack the students with his curses unless the teacher lets him go. Gojo backs off, and the sorcerer and his followers escape, getting ready to prepare for the upcoming war. The associates of Jujutsu High hold a briefing on this evil man and his powers, finding out that the man has established a new religion and gathered many followers to his cult, and they all benefit from Geto's power of being able to collect curses like Pokemon, which is kinda cool, but it makes him really powerful. The panel estimates that Geto may have over 2,000 curses collected and powering him up. The school's principal insists that they meet Geto's declaration of war head-on, demanding that they call out to all Jujutsu clans and school alumni, gathering up all their allies to take a final stand against this evil cult. Okay, I know everything's super serious right now, but am I the only one that smells something fishy here? This annoying girl is glued to her phone and just threw a tantrum about wanting food from a famous cafe. Does this seem like the type of person who generally wants the world to end? If the followers of this evil cult truly wanted to kill all regular people, they would not be so openly materialistic, which means they need these peasants to keep cafes running, to keep their phones on, to enable them to continue leading a luxurious lifestyle. Geto's motivation doesn't make sense at all. How can he and his followers be sick of being held back by regular people or having to help them all the time when that is not what their cult is doing at all? They're already leading successful, self-centered lives devoted to material pleasures and have no reason to risk their lives to try and change things. Gojo said it himself. There's no way his enemy would get into a fight unless he has a very major certainty that he would win. Declaring war on Jujutsu High High and attacking civilians in major cities will bring not only very good Jujutsu sorcerers down on his head, but it will also piss off Japan's military. And seriously, you don't want to mess with these guys. Not only are they a formidable power with the absolute latest in the state-of-the-art weaponry, this year alone Japan has a military budget of around $55 billion. $55 billion. Oh my gosh. No matter how powerful the cult thinks they are, no one can be absolute confident in going up against an entire country that has an almost limitless military budget. This kind of sounds like the opposite of a war that Geto can be confident that he can win. And this means that the evil sorcerer is not telling them the truth about his motives. And without understanding what he really wants, this Jujutsu Council should avoid playing into their hands and act on their instincts of going to war with the cult like Geto wants. Yuta here is somebody that he has shown a lot of interest in winning over, despite being a new student, a complete nobody. The evil sorcerer obviously has plans for the boy. Geto called Maki a monkey, even though she is a fellow Jujutsu sorcerer because her powers are weak. And this is the term that he uses to insult regular people with, and uses it to dismiss their worth. If he doesn't treat Yuta the same way, despite him being the most inexperienced one here, this means that he sees value in winning Yuta over to his side. If Yuta gives Geto a call right now and tells him his points are starting to make a lot of sense, how the evil sorcerer reacts might give clues to his true intentions. Let's say he asks Yuta to spy on the school for him or show up on the front line of battle to fight for him. That means he sees the boy as just another pawn whose power he wants on his side to better his odds. But if he asks the boy to join him beforehand or meet him privately, this suggests that what Geto wants is to kidnap or kill Yuta and that the boy can be used as bait. Back at his cult headquarters, Geto tells his followers that he thinks they only have a 30% chance of survival if they truly went to war with the rest of the country, even less if the Jujutsu Society rallies against them. And this devious man has an ace up his sleeve, though. Of course he does. Geto shares that if he manages to kill Yuta and control Rika for himself, his team's chances leap up to 99%. He is counting on Gojo being too afraid to bring Yuta and Rika into a fight into a populated area, which, by the way, would leave the boy all alone and unguarded while everyone else is fighting. And you know what happens, folks. Yuta indeed gets left behind at Jujutsu High with Maki because the others think that they're just too inexperienced to join the war. And finally, with some alone time, Maki opens up to the boy and she tells him that she's come from a long line of Jujutsu sorcerers, but has always felt like she had to prove herself because she is less naturally talented than the rest of her family. She can't even see curses and has to rely on special glasses to spot them. Her cursed weapons are also imbued with energy by other people, and all the girl can do is be a good fighter. She can hardly use cursed energy on her own, but Maki nonetheless vows to one day rise to become a powerful sorceress and prove her family wrong, destroying them from within. In the city, Gojo and his team have mostly evacuated the civilians. The cult followers tell each other to watch out for the teacher because he is the most powerful opponent here, and they remind each other that they only have to stall for time. Their plan is to not win, but to serve as a distraction so their leader has enough time to attack the school and kill Yuta. Gojo senses something is wrong and catches on that Geto plans to attack Yuta at the school. The teacher calls Panda and Toge over, telling them that he is sending them back to the school to protect Yuta, and the man uses his powers to teleport them back to Jujutsu High. Back at the school, Geto has already started his attack, badly injuring Maki and leaving the girl bleeding on the roof. Panda and Toge attack the man, but they are quickly overwhelmed by the thousands of curses he has collected. By the time Yuta finds his friends on the roof, all three of them lay crushed and injured. The boy is devastated to see his friend so close to death. In a moment of rage, he ignores Gojo's advice and unleashes Rika on the evil sorcerer, and a massive battle erupts between the curses. The boy escapes with his friends and uses his magic to start healing them. Rika briefly gets jealous that Yuta is showing concern for Maki, another girl, but he assures her that the only enemy here is Geto, and Yuta prepares to fight the man again. Geto apologizes to him, telling him that it's nothing personal. He just needs Rika more than Yuta does. Whoa! Bro, you better have caught that. Geto here is getting way too arrogant, and he just let his master plan slip. He intends to take control of Rika for himself, and since the man left the main battle in the city to come after Yuta, Rika must be pivotal to his plans on world domination. Yuta cannot let this happen. They both know that Rika is deeply in love with Yuta and would never willingly follow another sorcerer, and this means that Geto intends to kill the boy. It's the only shot he has to add Rika to his collection of curses, which means Yuta is in a real pickle. How do we get him out of this one? He cannot unleash Rika without causing widespread damage to the city around him, and any innocent people who may be nearby, including his 3 unconscious friends, and even worse, his teacher didn't keep him in the loop. The boy knows that Geto is very powerful and has collected thousands of curses, which he intends to use against his enemies, and no one really has a good idea how this curse collecting power works. Unlike cursed tools or cursed speech, which Jujutsu high school students use and are familiar with, Geto's curse collecting power is a big mystery. For all we know, he will be able to snap his fingers and imprison Rika the moment she appears appears. The risk to Yuta and everyone here is too high. It may not look gallant, but Yuta's best option here is to actually run away. For all of his talents, Geto does not have any powerful tracking ability as far as anyone knows. Both times he has found Yuta, and it was because he had visited Jujutsu High, where it was obvious the boy would be there. He went to the roof and didn't even attack Yuta right away, after arriving at the school despite the boy being his main target. The evil sorcerer may be able to zoom around at superhuman speeds given his abilities, but this shows that his abilities to track specific people are weak at best. If we take a look at the area surrounding the school, we will see that the area is surrounded by forests and mountains. Yuta here should partially release Rika a little bit and make her very happy by riding her at breakneck speeds into the surrounding forests. The heavy vegetation will break the line of sight and provide heavy cover. There might even be tiny caves or a root system within a tree or somewhere in the mountains where a very skinny boy such as him could fit into, but they're too small for Geto, that beefcake. And once Yuta has managed to put some distance between himself and the evil sorcerer, he should split up from Rika to trick the man. Gojo was previously able to pick up a weak sense of Geto's presence at the shopping district, but that means that Geto might have a similar sensing ability. And if these abilities pick up on cursed energy, it will likely pick up the aura from Rika and not Yuta, which will allow Geto to track Rita down, which isn't ideal, but at least she can handle herself and will never willingly defect to his side. But if Geto finds Yuta, it'll be a complete disaster because he will kill the boy and take Rika for himself. Yuta has got to lay low and tell Rika to dial her power from 100 to about 2%. Dial it down so they can hide and eventually make it back to his friends, who hopefully aren't dead. The night parade of 100 demons rages on in the city as members of the Jujutsu Society battle with Geto's followers and their dozens of curses. These two 15-year-old girls are part of the cult, insisting that they are loyal to the evil sorcerer because they had a tough childhood and he was the only one who took them in and taught them the ways of his cult. And they get ready to viciously attack one of the Jujutsu High School associates as if he stole the last ticket to a Justin Bieber concert. The passion is insane, but just then they're interrupted by Gojo fighting another member of the cult. This cult follower, Miguel, uses a dark rope as his weapon and is the only one who comes close to challenging Gojo's power, and the teacher starts to take his blindfolds off, revealing that a lot of his power resides in his eyes. Miguel unleashes many curses on the man, but they are no match for him, and neither is Miguel himself. Gojo beats him badly and pummels him all the way across the city. Elsewhere though, other members of the Jujutsu Society are holding their own against cult members and their curses, and many curses are being taken out, but more and more keep coming. The fighters do their best to hold them at bay. At the school, an unleashed Rika and katana-wielding Yuta team up on Geto. The man continues speaking about how curse users are superior to regular people. He thinks it's a huge injustice that strong people like him can still get overwhelmed and dragged down by the weak regular people due to their sheer numbers. He wants to create a perfect world where no regular people exist, and he no longer has to feel the burden of their presence. Picking up on that the man is completely insane, Yuta tells him that he has no choice but to kill Geto, but the evil sorcerer will not go down that easily. He unleashes the most powerful special grade curse that he has in combination with the other 4,461 curses that he has collected over months. The evil curses combine to form a dark swirling storm over Geto's head, and he prepares to hurl it at Yuta. With no other choice, the boy turns to Rika. He thanks her for being his girlfriend and protector, and promises to die and spend eternity with her if she can just lend him her powers one more time. Him declaring his love releases all limits on Rika's cursed energy, and Geto sends the black swirling storm of energy towards Yuta. Rika unleashes a freaking supernova of a blinding beam of light towards the man, and the clash of these two superpowers causes a massive explosion, destroying all nearby buildings and makes a huge crater in the ground beneath the school. When the smoke clears, Geto wanders the street, mortally wounded. One of his arms have been ripped off, and the man is dying. Gojo returns and sees the state that his old friend is in. He reveals that it was his plan all along to send Panda and Toge back to the school, knowing Geto would beat them. He had counted on Yuta being motivated to unleash his full powers after seeing his friends hurt. Okay, there's no way that just worked. Apart from killing Jujutsu High's chances of winning Architecture Digest's least craterous school award, Yuta actually managed to beat Geto by taking him on directly. It should never have come to this though. The boy put himself at an unnecessary risk and turned a sure win situation into a near defeat. You wouldn't count on The Rock to win a knitting competition for you. Sorry, Mr. Johnson. So why the heck would this scrawny 16-year-old even try to take on this hulking beefcake of a man in a sword fight? Yuta's real strength is his partnership with Rika and his mastery of cursed energy. He knows he's exceptional on this front since he has been branded as a special grade sorcerer from the start. A very rare and top tier grade. On the other hand, Yuta has only been training and fighting with a katana for a few months and has only ever trained against other inexperienced students. Even then, an average fighter like Maki has managed to wipe the floor with him on more than one occasion. The boy should have stuck to using Rika or blasting Geto with cursed energy from afar. Not only is Rika insanely powerful, she's literally a living cursed nuclear power plant, and she is right at Yuta's fingertips. And for that reason, Geto will also pull his punches against her. The evil sorcerer has made it super clear that he wants to get Rika under his control, and that she is the final piece of the puzzle in his plans to take over the world. And this means by Yuta using her, this forces Geto to pull it back. He won't be able to use his full powers against something that he wants to take. If he does, he might damage it and ruin his plans of taking over the world. But enough of that, he should have realized that he only needs her to buy some time before reinforcements arrive. He successfully started healing his fellow students, so at any moment now, 2 teens and a very angry panda will be coming back to his aid. So long as they don't act like action movie henchmen and attack him all at one time, Geto will have more than his hands full of fighting 4 people at once. More importantly, everyone knows Geto is the cult's best warrior and only chance of winning. And this means that it is only a matter of time before Gojo returns to the school to confront Geto, after realizing that he only needs to take out the cult leader to end the war in Tokyo and Kyoto for good. And it also makes even more sense that the teacher will be returning to help very soon, because once he kills the leader, the rest of the cult is made up of petulant children and subpar fighters. Their resolve and their attacks on the city will dissolve instantly, so if Yuta can hold on and use Rika for just a few minutes longer, all of his friends will arrive to join forces with him and defeat the evil sorcerer with much less bloodshed. With his final breaths, Geto assures Gojo that he never held any hatred towards members of Jujutsu High. He simply couldn't bear living in a world with so many people he considered inferior. With that, Gojo advances on to the evil sorcerer and finally puts the man out of his misery, sending his old friend to a better place once and for all. Or perhaps somewhere much worse, such as the pits of hell. But anyways, nearby, Yuta comes to and finds his 3 friends gathered around him. They're relieved that he is okay, but quickly grow concerned that they realize that he had promised to die with Rika in exchange for her help in winning the battle. But Rika appears behind them, and slowly her monstrous form crumbles away to reveal the sweet little girl that Yuta knew before she died. Gojo arrives and tells Yuta that he was right all along. The boy is the descendant of a very powerful line of Jujutsu sorcerers, and it was he who accidentally cursed Rika in his grief over her death. But now that he has come to terms with what had happened and what he did, the curse has been fully broken. Yuta breaks down and apologizes profusely to Rika. Instead of being angry, Rika thanks him for giving her more time with him. She tells him that the 6 years that she spent as a curse were the happiest she's ever been. This is a little weird. I mean, I'm happy for her, but she literally just said that those 6 years were the best she's ever had, and she's probably killed a few high school students during that time. You got a crazy one, Yuta. You really do. But moving on from that, Rika gives her boyfriend her blessing to go on and live a full life without her, and gives him one final hug before disappearing, finally moving on into the afterlife. Later, Gojo tells Yuta not to blame himself for the destruction Geto caused. He reassures him that the sorcerer would have attacked the school either way. He returns Yuta his student card, which Geto had passed back before his death. Taking the card back, Yuta prepares to leave with his friends, now fully single and ready to mingle.